Hi everyone, welcome to the channel dedicated to sharing the profound insights and wisdom of Andromedan contactee Alex Collier. If you're new here, you're in for a journey that expands your mind and consciousness, bringing you closer to understanding the messages from the fifth density Andromedan extraterrestrials. For those returning, we're grateful for your continued support. Before we dive into today's enlightening content, we have a small favor to ask. If you find value in the knowledge shared in this video, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to our channel, and clicking the bell icon so you never miss an update. Your engagement helps us amplify Alex Collier's message, allowing us to reach a larger audience with these vital messages. We'd also love to hear from you, so please engage with the comments below. Whether it's a question, your thoughts, or even just an emoji for the sake of engagement, every comment counts. We read every single comment, and your feedback is incredibly valuable to us, as it all contributes to our mission of expanding this community. So please don't hesitate to leave your thoughts below. Additionally, if you'd like to support us further, consider giving a super thanks tip by clicking the heart with the $sign. This small gesture allows us to continue bringing you more of Alex's messages, unfiltered and directly from his lifelong experiences with the Andromedans. Today's video includes a compilation of several of the many important questions Alex Collier has received over the past few years, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy today's video.
What exactly do you mean by hearing your own frequency? Are you talking about a literal audible tone, or are you talking about those flashes of insight and intuition?
Okay. Those that live a solitary life, those who spend a consistent amount of time of meditating, those who spend a great deal of time in nature or around nature, what happens is they fully integrate their environment on the outside with the inside. So their inner being connects fully to the outside environment. Now, in essence, what are they doing? They are taking their soul, their physical body, their form, their auric field, and they are expanding it out to cover a very specific amount of space. Your field of energy, your energy. Okay? That's who you are. That's your consciousness. Okay, consciousness is not in the brain, it's in your energy field. That's your soul. The brain just interprets that information to tell your physical body what to do. Consciousness is not in the brain. Okay, your soul connects to your nervous system and your heart. When you expand your energy field, you are aware emotionally, physically, of everything going on around you. You know the expression, women have eyes in the back of their head? That's what they're referring to, is because a woman has an amazing emotional body. She can do this naturally. And it's a lot easier for a woman to do this, especially if she's a mother. They know, they have that intuitive knowingness that whether the children are upstairs, downstairs, outside playing, if they're calm, they know what they're doing because those children are in their energy field. This is a little bit more difficult for men, but men do it. Many soldiers, warriors, shamans, Native American shamans or indigenous people that are shamans, scouts, hunters, they have learned this technique themselves. They They get really calm, they get really quiet, and they expand their energy field out so that they can sense what's going on around them all the time. And in that presence, in that expression or expansion of themselves, they hear their own resonance, which is how they recognize something other than. They become attuned to their own frequency, because everything is frequency. Everything has a different frequency. There are no two things anywhere that have the exact same frequency. Nothing. Everything has its own signature, its own resonance. Another example I can give you is Beethoven. He was deaf for most of his life, and yet he could hear resonance, he could hear frequency, which is how he wrote all this music. Deaf. He was absolutely deaf, but he heard frequency, he heard resonance inside himself. And he was able to put that down on paper and literally create this incredible music. That's what I'm talking about. That's someone who can hear his own frequency. This is why many ET races are absolutely enthralled with our ability to create music out of nowhere. It's because there's a part of us that connects to all that is. And we just connect to all this frequency, all this resonance. And we are able to pull it in and create tones and harmonics and put them all together, and voila, it's music. It's remarkable. We don't appreciate it at all because we're so conditioned and so used to it here on this planet. You know, we're bored with our own brilliance, with our own gifts, many of us. But out there, off world, they have a completely different perspective about this. So, Lauren, that's what I'm talking about. It's about hearing your own frequency. When you can expand your energy field out anywhere, and you can specifically locate and feel other frequencies that are not yours, then you know what your frequency is. And your intuition grows exponentially. And for guys, that's something we all really truly need to cultivate, is our own intuition. Because in turning us into warriors, in conditioning us to be hard, we've lost that gift of not only intuition, but also a certain level of empathy. And we've become hardened, and we've become extremely, extremely aggressive, way too aggressive.
Hi, Alex. This is a question about the light seen upon physical death. Your cousin, who met with your mum and aunt after entering the tunnel, seemed to have a positive experience. But if we do not go into the light and instead turn away to join Source, how do we reunite with loved ones who went into the tunnel trap not knowing they had a choice? Seems like your Aunt Connie and Mum were in a good place. Please clarify. I feel there are others who may be wondering the same.
That's a wonderful question. And it wasn't a cousin, it was my Uncle Dick that was having this, who had the experience as he was crossing over from tuberculosis. Yes, he had a very positive experience, and there are many who have had very positive experiences. And then there are those who don't go into the light and they turn around, and what they realize is there's the entire universe, and they will themselves home, and they go home to uh, their soul group, to the original dimension that they originally came to Earth from or fell into time from, whether that's fourth density, fifth density, sixth, wherever that is, because you have to understand the soul's multidimensional. You have the thinking around, okay, I need to go into the tunnel of light so I can see all my loved ones. We are assuming at this particular moment that that place still exists. And is it a situation where they have a choice to wait for you so that when you transition from Earth and you go into the light and you go to this place, we are assuming that that's where you're going to be before you reincarnate again. That system does not exist anymore. You are not going to be forced to reincarnate back into Earth in third density into the matrix. Do you understand? That system no longer exists. It may very well be that your loved ones, those who choose to wait for you, are there in spirit, waiting for you to cross over so that you and them can then go and move on to your original soul group or star system, star nation. All these things are absolutely possible. Okay? It is not a little box anymore. There is no little box anymore. You have now got access to all that is. That requires all of us to think all that is. It's time to step out of the box. You are an eternal soul. Your body, your physical body that you're in right now proves it. Absolutely proves it. It's going to be what you want. Ultimately, if these people in your loved ones are part of your soul group, you have never been without them. Ever. You've never been without them. They've just played different roles to help you grow, and you have played different roles to help them grow. That's all it is. And in hindsight, we're all going to look back at this and say, wow, this was all a movie, this was all a game, in order for us to experience stuff so that we could become more and more knowledgeable like Creator, all right? And share those experiences with Creator. And this would go with pets as well. This would go for pets as well. You've never been without them. Not having a one-on-one conversation about this, I don't know where else to go with it. But you have to understand that the thinking that we've had, the philosophies, the conceptions, assumptions that we've had about what everything is, that's all changing. All right? All new rules now. There are all new rules as to what life is here and how we create it and how we now live and treat each other. All those rules are changing because we are being set free. You have to be open now to seeing things for what they really are. And in so doing, you will expand your own consciousness because now we have access to all that is, where before we didn't. We were in this little box, this tiny little box. That's where we were. And we packed everything we could into that little box. But there's no more little box, so we don't have to live in a little box, nor do we have to think little any longer. Okay? You'll get there. We'll all get there. We will all get there. It's a process, though. It's a process. It's like buying a ream of garment, and what you do is you roll out about 6 inches of it and say, well, that's all I need. But you bought the whole ream of garment, you know, that thing, whatever they call it. So you've got 50 yards of material, but you've only rolled out 6 inches. And as you become aware of everything and you begin to see more and understand more, you flip that roll, and now you have a foot. Now you have 2 feet. Now you have 3 feet, 5 feet, 10 feet. And what you're doing is you're adding knowledge and experience to what you've already known. And when you get to the end of the ream, the 50, and all you have left is the cardboard. And what you've done is you've rolled out this carpet, this red carpet for yourself. And all you have left is the cardboard. Well, you throw the cardboard away because that's useless. What you've done in rolling out the carpet for yourself is the actual experience. And when you get to the end of it, you realize, I have always been more. I have always been more. And that realization changes you once again forever, because now you remember you've always been more. Gods in training. That's who we are. We're all gods in training.
Thank you, Alex, for all your service to humanity for all these years and lifetimes. Please explain where and why all the buzz about flat Earth has come up on the scene lately. Why is it currently being discussed on the alternative scene in such a big way? There are several prominent, quote, truthers who are promoting the concept. They say the Earth is covered by a domed shield. Is flat Earth a cabal psyop?
You know, it started in the Catholic Church, and prior to that, I think there were some older cultures that actually debated that. The Earth is not flat; it's just not. If there's proof of an inner Earth, then the Earth couldn't possibly be flat. If there is geological records of previous pole shifts and the shifting of the North and the South Pole, and some areas are no longer covered with ice and that they used to be. How does that happen if it's a plate? It doesn't. How is it that everything around us is round and we're the only thing that's flat? We're a pancake? You know, maybe people just see 2-dimensionally, they can't see 3, and they can't even imagine 4-dimension. I don't know. You know, I tried addressing this years ago, but it's like anything else. If you're absolutely convinced you're right, then you're not listening. So you just don't have that talk. You don't have that argument because you can't talk to people whose minds are not open. You know, and that's just what it is. And, you know, let's just take a huge leap here and say, okay, it's either a circle or it's a plate. All right. So let's just take that question of what the shape of it is out of the equation for a minute. What does that have to do with anything about freeing humanity? What does that have to do with anything about humanity waking up and ascending consciously and then physically into another realm? What does that have to do with anything? It's a fucking distraction. That's all it is. Are any of these people talking about the awakening and the ascension of humanity? These flat earthers? Does that have anything to do with what humanity is doing in freeing itself from the Matrix, the Orion AI system, the reptilian control mechanism? Does any of that have anything to do with what we're all experiencing? And the answer is no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Whether it's a pancake, whether it's a pizza cutter, you know, whether it's a spatula, does any of that have to do with humanity freeing itself from control? It doesn't. What it does is it completely distracts from the events that are actually occurring, in my opinion. In my opinion. Now, I know the planet is not flat. You can think whatever you want. But the primary discussion we need to be having is about humanity freeing itself from this reptilian organism that has had control of us for thousands and thousands of years and has been literally feeding off of us spiritually and physically forever. You can choose to believe whatever you want about the shape of the planet. I ask you to do one thing. That has to be number B in your column. Number A in your column, or number 1 in your column, has to be the awakening of humanity and the freeing of us from this horrible control mechanism we've all been living and have been slaves to. Okay? If you can do that, the shape of the planet won't mean shit, and it doesn't mean shit. Okay? This isn't about that. It's about us. This is about humanity, guys. That's a waste of energy having that conversation. But you have it if you want. I'm not engaging in it. From this moment forward, I'm not engaging in it because it's a waste of fucking time. End of story. Okay? I didn't spend 62,000 years here to debate that. At the end, we're freeing ourselves. PSYOP. There you go. But you do what you want. Oh, God. Sorry to be frustrated, but I mean, God. There are no reptilians. There are no children missing. There are no aliens. Really? There is no deep state. There is no matrix. How'd that work out for everybody now? Okay, now we know that that's all bullshit because it is real. Okay, there are no more conspiracies. We're spoiler alert specialists. Well, here's your spoiler alert. The planet isn't flat. But, you do what you want. You do what you want. Because you will anyway. I get that. But please don't lose sight of the fact that humanity is awakening and humanity is ascending. It is raising its frequency to get the hell out of this shithole that we've been in. That wasn't created by us. They used us to enslave and imprison ourselves because we weren't awake. Okay, and everything we do now affects future generations. We've got to focus on that. It's our obligation as founding mothers and founding fathers to do this for future generations. That's the focus. That's what needs to be up front, in my humble opinion.
You say the Andromedans have 3 sex types: male, female, and androgynous, if I remember.
Yes.
In their culture, is it possible that all the sex types can produce offspring? Is reproduction conducted in the same manner as the human race? Do they stay together for the duration of their lifetimes? Or can you talk about Andromedan relationships and how they bond with each other?
My information on this is limited, but I will share with you again what I already know or what I've already shared. Um, there are natural births where couples have genuine intercourse. It's my understanding that they all do. I cannot speak about the androgynous. I simply do not know. They are a very small percentage, but nonetheless, they exist. The men and the women do, in fact, engage. They don't have it for fun or for physical release. They understand that in the process of having sex, that there is always the possibility that a child will be created, a life form will be created. So they take it very, very seriously. When they do, in fact, engage in the physical process of what we would call sex, they call it merging. When they engage in sex or merging, they understand that their intention is and should always be um, the creation of creating another being. Now, that doesn't always happen. Okay? But if it does happen, then it is something that is joyfully experienced and celebrated. For those women who want to have child and who are on missions, etc., they can choose to have sperm from their mate put into them, and then they will carry the child for a while. Or if they do not want to carry a child themselves, they can still create one in a growing room, in a growing facility, where the two parents, the seed and the egg from the two parents, are put together in a lab. And then what happens is, instead of the child being grown inside of them, inside the woman, it is grown inside of uh, an artificial womb. However, the parents are there all the time. They are constantly there integrating with the egg, with the embryo, with the child as it continues to grow. So when the baby is delivered out of this, it already knows the parents, it knows their frequency, it knows their voice. It is not grown in the lab by itself, not knowing or having an emotional and physical or spiritual attachment to anyone except those that work in the lab. That is not how it's done. Um, Literally, the expression, the bond that the child has with the parents is virtually the exact same as if the mother was carrying it. The only difference is it is not 100% attached to the mother, because when it's grown in the mother, that's all it knows. In this other way, it knows both the father and the mother equally, you see. So the attachment, the bond, is with both parents, not primarily just the mother. They look at things very, very differently. Um, and their attitudes and their knowledge of all this is far more expanded than ours is. And whatever happens, and no matter how the children are born, they all seem incredibly adjusted, incredibly aware, and incredibly healed. But then again, they're born with full consciousness. So the souls that attach to these physical bodies are born with full consciousness. They already know who they are, and they know the parents. So the androgynous, I know next to virtually nothing about them. So I don't know how that works. There are copper tablets that were discovered in the Dead Sea. And these copper tablets describe the history of a man, and I believe it's Rabbi Roy, R-O-I. And it talks about his mother being an androgynous being, and that she lived in the deserts of Sinai. And these copper tablets, it's very difficult to find information now about them. But when they first came out, there was a great deal of discussion about what these tablets said. And they were books, but they were inscribed on these copper slates. And what's interesting about that is that there were 3 papal edicts that were passed on, that were sent to the Roman military, that if anything, and this is, way back in history, that if anything came to the Roman military, any writings or stories regarding this rabbi, ROI, that they be destroyed immediately. Now, those papal edicts still exist today in the Vatican archives. And all knowledge of this individual, ROI, were gone until this copper tablet was rediscovered or discovered. So, there's a lot of history we don't know here. Was she an extraterrestrial that decided to stay, or she got trapped or stuck or abandoned? We don't know. Is it a hybrid woman who was able to do this? We don't know that either. But it's just another one of the mysteries of Earth that we have yet to uncover, and hopefully that information will be shared at some point, with us on the surface. So I wanted to mention that because it's relevant. It may be relevant to this conversation we're having now about birthing. We just don't have enough information. I got very much into history because I was trying to prove in the beginning the A's wrong, or to find out what they were saying was true. That's how a lot of this information came to me. And I mean, some of this came to me like in a magical way. I wasn't looking for it, and then suddenly there it was in front of me. So, and I suspect that they were very instrumental in making sure that those pieces of information crossed my path, because these were questions I was having and things that I would think about. So now the fact that we have 12 strands and only 2 are on, what happens to those people where their strands are turned on, 3, 4, 5, and 6? Can they be androgynous, especially if it's a woman, a female body? The men just don't have the equipment. But a woman, I would think she could do it. So I don't know. I mean, these are things we just don't know about ourselves yet. And, there's more we don't know than we do know. That's a fact.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you found it insightful, please like the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on future updates. If you have any questions relating to today's video, please also leave them below. We read all the comments and take on board what our viewers have to say about Alex Collier's work. Remember, your support helps Alex Collier's knowledge and the messages from the Andromedans reach more people. If you'd like to support the channel even more, you can give us a super thanks tip by clicking the heart icon with a $sign. It really helps our team bring you more content. Also, be sure to visit alexcollier.org to sign up for our regular email newsletter. It's the best way to stay updated with the latest news, exclusive content, and upcoming live webinars. For the latest insights from Alex Collier, check out alexcollier.live. And if you want to explore over 250 past webinars, head over to alexcollier.tv. Thank you for being a part of this journey and supporting Alex Collier's work. We couldn't do this without you, and we're genuinely grateful for your support. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the vast mysteries of our universe. If you would like to see the Andromedan contactee Alex Collier live via video stream, we hold a live online seminar every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. For more information on upcoming live webinars, please visit alexcollier.org.